Okay, from Miguel, my first LTT purchase. Finally hopping on the almost full desk mouse mat trend. Have
Nice.
there been any games, shows, or movies you finished lately that you really enjoyed or really disliked? It's on your Plex at the moment.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
What have you seen?
Is Star Wars lately?
No,
Doesn't count as lately.
I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe one of the shows.
Thor: Love and Thunder was trash.
Was it?
Oh my God, so bad.
That was the only Marvel movie in like many years that I was vaguely interested in seeing.
Spoiler alert.
So never mind.
It doesn't matter because you're not going to watch it because it's terrible. But
Good.
at one point during the movie, which I did not feel compelled to sit down for, like the entire time at all. Like I got up and like got snacks and came back. I was like, yeah, don't bother pausing it. I watched it because like I don't know. It's just it's a thing. Yvonne and I watch all like Marvel movies together. We do not bother with the shows. There is too much Marvel.
Oh yeah.
There's too much cinematic
definitely.
universe at this point. But at one point when I forget, something just utterly ridiculous, like laughable happened. Not funny, like laughable. And I was like, if that was not actually Chris Hemsworth, like if this was not actually Hollywood A-listers, I would half expect the movie to devolve into a full like X-rated sex scene.
Oh.
Like it felt like a pornographic parody.
Wow.
It was just so campy. And not I don't know. And it had some self-awareness of its campiness, except that unlike 70s Batman, which embraced the camp all the way through,
Yeah.
there are moments of this where it has this
It's still
extreme
taking itself seriously.
tonal shift.
Yeah.
And it's taking itself hyper seriously on matters of life and death and love. And it's like, what even is this? Also, they committed one of the worst movie sins for me, which is that instead of putting, the whole point, of storytelling is you take relatable characters with flaws. Like it's like the point of superheroes, okay? Is that they are these relatable characters with real limitations and flaws, and you put them into these supernatural situations that test their limits. If every time they hit a limit, they can pull a new MacGuffin or a new ability or a new miraculous weapon out of their rectal cavity, then it completely takes away any stakes and any engagement that I can possibly have with this story. And so there's this scene at the, so I talked about this with Fantastic Beasts. There's a scene in, spoiler alert, one of the Fantastic Beasts movies. I can't even remember because the first one's good and the other ones are atrocious. But there's this scene in one of them, maybe it's the second one, where one of the like beasts gets out and he needs to get it back. And he goes, Accio, that thing. And it comes flying into his magic suitcase, and they merrily go on their way. Which doesn't sound like a huge problem. Except that the entire first movie is that his monsters escaped, and he was trying to get them back. And they filmed, there's all these scenes where he struggles to capture them.
This is the force healing problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it completely, in that one, like 10-second moment, completely invalidated the entire existence of the first movie.
Yeah.
There was no point in him doing any of that stuff. Because he could have just been like, Accio you. And when we watch the first movie, we can have suspension of disbelief, right? Like, it's not like I'm not willing to be transported into a magical, fantastical world. I love it.
That world has to have laws that make it make sense.
That are consistent.
Yeah.
And so when in the first movie, you could say, oh, right, well, maybe Accio doesn't work on like super powerful magical creatures. Sure, fine. Yeah, I can go along with that.
You can resist it or something.
But then when you show it working in the very next movie, set a year later or whatever, it's just stupid. Okay, so back to No, okay. D-Boss says, welcome to fantasy storytelling. It happens all the time. Yeah, it's not new. You're right, but it's lazy. It's lazy and it's bad. So let's go back to Thor Love and Thunder. At the climax, spoiler alert, there's a scene where he's capturing these, or he's rescuing, the captured children that were being held by the big baddie to draw him out so that the big baddie could get his MacGuffin that finds a different MacGuffin that helps him achieve something perilous.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's holding all these children hostage, and Thor gets to the children, and then he's going to go after the baddie, but then the baddie unleashes like an army of shadow beasts or something. Like, okay, fine, fair enough so far. Thor's solution to this problem is that he bestows the powers of Thor on all these children. And it makes for a very cool scene where they all just like rip through these shadow beasts, lightning them, and like none of the children get a scratch on them because obviously A, you wouldn't want to like do that in a movie. And B, because they are all little mini Thors and they're using their teddy bears to like lightning arc baddies into dust. But it's like, here we are 27 movies in or whatever. Do that.
You couldn't make like a lightning infused Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like 20 movies ago.
Wouldn't that have been convenient?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a super cool visual spectacle. Very cool scene. But it completely killed any investment that I can possibly have.
Something that I've found that makes those types of things work for me in stories is what I would just, I don't know, there's probably a term for it, but I would call it like special realms. Like the whole Jedi healing thing. In my opinion, it would maybe be okay, maybe, if you were like in Jedi Temple.
Sure.
Maybe the Force is stronger there or something. I don't know, whatever. Like you might be able to say, in this one area, this thing is possible.
Sure.
But just...
I forget
like if he's in Asgard, maybe he can lightning charge the kids.
Yeah, I forget what fantasy setting it is. There's one where whatever magic you do has an equal and opposite expense to you. So if there was some kind of... But that's never how the Force worked.
No.
It was about just channeling this mystical energy, the
Acting
Force that binds the galaxy together. Yeah, like it was... just making up Force abilities completely destroyed Star Wars for me. In the same way that just making up new superpowers for these characters takes all possible pretense that there could be for suspense. Ooh, what will happen? I don't know. They're going to make up something like, that would be badass. Like, it honestly feels like when you're in grade 3.
Yeah.
And you're like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, they jumped off there and then they bounced up so high? Man, yeah, that would be so cool. But then there's no stakes. There's no rules.
Yeah.
And yes, that is cheap character development by just giving them more abilities instead of having to use the limitations of their abilities that have been established to fight larger, more difficult problems. It's lazy storytelling. That's the bottom line.